In the summer of 2011, 23-year-old Dalene Carlson moved from her small town in Idaho to Stockton, California. Sporty, sociable, and adventurous Dalene enjoyed snowboarding, fishing, camping, and long walks with her dog. Maddie Dean had decided to relocate to Stockton to move in with her aunt and cousin. She was here for one thing and one thing only: to further her career. After years and years of saving up from her various restaurant jobs, she'd enrolled at San Joaquin Delta College to major in child development. And with just a few months to go before college started, Dean was busy putting names to new faces and getting to know the area. Her cousin Cizali was always her tour guide. But on August 6, 2011, Dean would venture out alone. Cizali had a fever, but Dean still wanted to go out. She had made some new friends already, and ever the confident person, she was happy to go out by herself to places she was familiar with. One of those places was Finnegan's Bar and Grill, which had fast become a favorite night out. For her, the 23-year-old got ready and said her goodbyes. As she shut the door, her Aunt Maggie shouted to her that she needed Toby home by 3 Norway. At the absolute latest, Dung agreed and walked off into the town. But 3 a.m. would soon come and go. Soon it was 3:30 and then 4. Maggie was still awake and texting Dean to see if everything was okay. Hoping she had slept at a friend's house, Maggie tried to get some rest. But with every hour that ticked by without the sound of the door opening, she was waking up, tossing and turning. The sun soon rose along with everyone else's concern. If Dalene had spent the night at a friend's house, she would have found a way to charge her phone and contact people. Safe to say, sometimes you just know when you know. And something was seriously wrong. Maggie called around her daughter and niece's friends before she decided to call 911 and report Dina's missing, and, with this, just a couple of months after she moved, the 23-year-old had disappeared. Unfortunately, it was too early to file an official report, but police logged it anyway, and her family and friends started looking around the streets for her. But as it went from hot and light to cool and dark, there was no sign of her. The following morning, the police got to work. Dean had asked Cicely to take a picture of her before she left the house, so Dalene could look at her outfit. Her dark brown hair had been down, and she was wearing a black and white vest top with ripped blue denim jeans. Armed with this, the officers started with Den's original plan for the evening. She was supposed to go to Finnegan's Bar and Grill with Cecily, one of the managers at Finnegan's Bar, remembered. Her Dean had been there many times before, and he said she had been stood outside most of the night. But nothing had seemed out of the ordinary. Den had picked up a ride there with a friend, and once at the bar she bumped into her on-off boyfriend, Jacob Evangelisti. 25-year-old Jacob admitted, "We weren't on the best terms. I purposely got there before she did. She came up to him to talk to me." He said the couple had got into quite a big fight 4 days before. He was drunk and grabbed Den's arm as he tried to get away from him. He said he had heard from people that she had been talking to a mutual friend called James Cousins, and safe to say things between the pair had been far from good. Jacob said they hung out with a few friends that night but were keeping their distance. That was until Dalene actually broke up with him. He was upset and wanted to work things out, but it seemed she was done. Jacob maintained Dalene had left the bar before him, that he didn't see if anyone was with her. History did match with employees. However, police said both Jacob and James Cousins were persons of interest. The cameras in the building showed Dalene outside for a while, smoking before moving back inside at about 10 to 1 in the morning. There were quite a few people around, and at one point a man even put his arm around her for a moment before walking behind her in the corridor. He was 25-year-old Jason Gilly, another mutual friend. He even lived with James Cousins. Dean then went back outside, where she spoke to Jacob. She looked animated and was moving her arms around a lot. This matched what Jacob had said to them about having a heated conversation. She went inside again and Jacob stayed put with a friend, finishing his cigarette $3. Finnegan was closed and everyone had gone. Dalene had somehow left without being caught on any camera. As had Jacob, so they didn't know what time she was there, until Jacob told police that Dalene had texted him saying that she was leaving the bar to go to a party at a friend's house. He then had about 12 calls from her after she left the bar. During one of the brief calls, he heard a man's voice in the background. Den said she was drinking at Jason's house. Jason was Jason Gilly, who lived with James' cousins. Jason was the man seen putting his arm around Dalene Finnegan's. In one text early in the morning, Dalene asked Jacob if she could go to his house later, and he had agreed. But hours passed and he didn't hear anything else, falling asleep and waking up to nothing more on his phone. Police next wanted to talk to Jason Gilly and James' cousins. Jason Gilly shared the house with his mom, grandma, and James, who was also staying there too. James was pretty upfront and to the point. Yes, he and Dalene had been chatting, but nothing was official, and they weren't in a relationship. He was also quickly able to prove that he was out of Stockton on a trip, something corroborated by multiple people. Jason Gilly also said he couldn't help the police. He said the pair had parted ways at the bar. He had offered her a lift home but had to leave without her at one day, and because his grandmother had texted him that his young son was sick, but Jacob said Dalene told him she was drinking at Jason Gilly's house. His grandma said Jason had arrived back home himself at about 1:30 a.m. Jason then pointed the detectives back to Jacob and the fight he and Dalene had had. He actually had witnessed the whole thing and said it was pretty bad. So police were really no further forward. Also new tonight, the searches intensifying for a Stockton woman who mysteriously disappeared after a night out. 23-year-old Dalene Carlson was last seen on August 7th. At the start of this case, 3 men talked to police and said they had contact with Carlson the night she disappeared. "We just want her home safe." Carlson's cousins held a flyer displaying her photos today. The family has been fraught with worry since Carlson disappeared last weekend. She was last seen at Finnegan's Pub and Grill very early last Sunday morning. I just want my family to, have peace and get get her daughter home. We hope there's a hope that, we would love to find her safe, but as time progresses, it looks more grim. For now, investigators plan to be here all afternoon, and we're told that Carlson moved here from Idaho to start a new life. She had plans to attend Delta College and was living with family when she disappeared. Meanwhile, family and friends were working hard to raise some money, managing to get $1,000 together to add to the Crime Stoppers' already $1,000 reward. For information, a local semi-pro football team wanted to host a game and raffle to raise more money, and everyone was out giving out flyers and searching, but things were really not looking good. Friends said, having to talk your brain out of every single possible scenario is exhausting and scary. The not knowing, trying to connect the dots that may or may not exist, creating lines to read in between, to maybe figure something out, is all-consuming. But when someone is missing, your mind is constantly going at 1,000,000 miles in music hour. Unfortunately, investigators had exhausted all of their leads from Finnegan's, so they had to move elsewhere, going from business to business in theoria, asking for any and all camera footage. They finally got a lead from a 24-hour food vest store at 1:30 a.m. The camera showed Dalene and a man buying some alcohol and music. There it was, Jason Gilly, the same man that had told them he had left her at the bar and hadn't seen her since. The police took him in for questioning a second time, because now he had been caught in a pretty big lie, but they gave him a chance to come clean. "What time did you get home?" "At about 1:20, 1:30. When he confirmed his original story of being home at 1:30 a.m. They showed him the CCTV footage. "We know a lot more of what's going on, right?" "Okay, wait a minute. Wait. I left the bar with Den to food for Jason, then suddenly remembered that he had gone to buy some jerger with Dalene at food for less, but he said he had dropped her back off at Finnegan's before heading home." Detectives could tell there was definitely more to his story, and as they pressed him more, he started getting teary. Jason, let's make it better. Let's make it better, right? Now, okay, did you guys have sex? No, Jason, what were you?